It's about damn time. Cue that meme of LeBron talking about it's about damn time when he won that first title of his.
It's about damn time. It's about damn time.
Yeah, I'm finally sitting down and making a proper YouTube video. For those who don't know me, a lot of you probably won't. My name is Same Old Sports. Yeah, you might have seen me on TikTok or on Instagram, things like that. And so, yeah, I don't have a big following. I just like talking about sports. I've always said that I was going to start a YouTube channel, but now I'm finally doing it. Well, I've had the YouTube channel for a while now, but I haven't actually sat down and made a video. So, this is my first attempt at making a video. Please go easy on me. It's my first time editing as well, so it might not be as smooth as you like, but I sure damn will try. And for this video, I decided to talk about something I feel comfortable talking about. So, NFL season coming right around the corner. Preseason's already started. I think week 2 of the preseason starts in a couple days, something like that. So I figured I might as well sit down and make a record prediction for the NFL season and how I think it's going to go. And so since we're making a record prediction, I figured why not do it by division. So in terms of doing it by division, I'm going to start with the AFC East today. And as you could probably see by the highlights that are playing, first team we're going to talk about is the Buffalo Bills. Now the Buffalo Bills, they were a very good team last year. Unfortunately, they just ran into a juggernaut that was the Chiefs offense, that AFC in that divisional round. Josh Allen, it wasn't the fault of Josh Allen. He played amazingly well in the games against the Patriots, in the game in which he had nearly a perfect passer rating. He had I think he had 5 passing touchdowns that game, or 4. But yeah, he played amazing against the Patriots, played an absolute superb game against the Chiefs, and if his defense could have just held up for 13 more seconds, he could have went to the AFC Championship game, and I believe if they make the AFC Championship, they make the Super Bowl. I don't know if they beat the Rams in the Super Bowl, but I do think if they beat the Chiefs, they make it to that Super Bowl. Now, the Chiefs this offseason, they saw what they perceived as weaknesses to that team, and they went out and they made some new additions. They also lost some people. So first, I'm going to talk about the departures that they had. Losing Jerry Hughes is not too big of a change, especially when you see who they added. They lost Jerry Hughes and Mario Addison to the Texans, both of them being defensive linemen. So when we talk about the Bills additions, you'll see why they made those additions. They also lost out on Levi Wallace, who I think was a good third corner to have on that team, but they did replace him. They lose out on the speed of Matt Breida, but that running game wasn't really anything with him, so I don't think that would be too big of a loss for the Buffalo Bills. And they also lose out on Harrison Phillips, who was an interior defensive lineman, but I don't think any of these departures will be too big for the Bills to overcome, especially once you see the additions that the Bills made. Now, when talking about the additions that the Bills made on the overall team, the first one you have to talk about is the addition of Von Miller. I think the addition of Von Miller is really going to help them this year. I don't know about in the future. I don't feel comfortable paying this old of a pass rusher a 6-year contract that much money. So I do think in the grand scheme of things, long term, it might not be the best deal, but for this year, I definitely think it's worth it. I think Von Miller can add that presence that they need on the defensive line, that identity, and also I think he can help Gregory Rousseau also with getting to the quarterback, and also just be a mentor for this team. And I also do think he'll have a very big impact on this team. And then moving on to another addition that they added, I don't know if I'm pronouncing this right, they added Kaiir Elam with their with the first round pick, sorry. With the first round pick, they added him. I think he'll be a good corner to pair with Tre'Davious White. I don't think he'll ever be a number 1 corner, but I do think he'll be a nice corner to pair with Tre'Davious White, he'll be guarding the number 2, maybe even number 3 wide receiver. And then they also added Roger Saffold to the offensive line. I do think they need help on the offensive line. I don't think that offensive line is as good as people would think it is, mainly because Josh Allen's so mobile, so he can get away from he can get away from pass rushers. He's also fast for the quarterback, but he can get away from pass rushers a lot easier, even if you have a bad offensive line, so he can escape and do things and cover up for how bad that offensive line may be. So I do think adding that will give him some more time to pass in the pocket, and I think it will overall help his interceptions, because if you watch Josh Allen's game, a lot of his interceptions are him scrambling out of the pocket, trying to make a big play. But I think adding an offensive line will help him stay in the pocket more and give him more time to get that ball down the field and make big plays. They also added Jameson Crowder to the wide receiver room, where I think it's a good pickup, especially as they lost Emmanuel Sanders. Emmanuel Sanders was was Josh Allen's security blanket when it comes to wide receivers more than Cole Beasley was. Cole Beasley took a step back last year when Emmanuel Sanders came in, so I do think adding Jamison Crowder will be a good thing for them. Daquan Jones as well, and Daquan Jones, who's a defensive lineman from the Panthers. As you can see, the Bills went out here and they made sure they added to that defensive line. They believe that's what cost them the chance to go to a Super Bowl last year, was that defensive line not be able to get pressure to a quarterback. So they went out there and addressed it. They also got tight end OJ Howard to add more depth to that tight end room with Dawson Knox. I do think OJ Howard is immensely talented, and if the Bills can unlock that talent, it'll be a very good thing for them. And they also added James Cook in the draft, who I think is a very good running back who can replace the role of a Matt Breida. And I do think eventually he'll get the job from Devin Singletary, but reading the reports right now coming out of training camp, it looks like Devin Singletary is going to be the starter week 1. But I do think James Cook will eventually take over that role as the season progresses. Alright, now that we've talked about the additions and the departures of this Bills team, I'm going to walk through each game of the season and then give you my overall record prediction for the Bills. Week 1 against the Rams, I do think that'll be a tough game for them. These teams are very heavily stacked, and this will be a tough game for the Bills, but I do think they win week 1 against the Rams. Week 2, they play Tennessee. I think they win that game pretty safely against Tennessee. I don't believe Ryan Tannehill. I believe Ryan Tannehill will be the starter, and I really don't believe he'll be enough for this Bills team to win. And I love Derrick Henry, but I don't think his rushing enough will be enough to beat this Bills team. Week 3, they play Miami. I think they win that early in the season. So far I have them going 3-0. But most of the games have been pretty comfortable besides the Rams game. And then week 4, they play Baltimore. I do think they squeak out with a win there. I do think this game will be close. It could go the Ravens' way, but I do think the Bills will squeak a win out. Week 5 against the Steelers, I think they beat the Steelers. Especially, kind of like revenge for last season. Week 1, Bills lost to the Steelers, so I think this time they'll be taking the Steelers more serious, and I think they will come out and beat them. Week 6, I haven't taken their first loss to the Chiefs. I don't believe the Chiefs are a better team. I just think it'll be one of those games, not where Josh Allen doesn't play well, where Patrick Mahomes plays very well, and the Bills end up losing a close game, or maybe like a field goal or a walk-off touchdown. And then they have their bye week 7. They have an early bye week. Week 8, they play the Packers. I think they win that. I think they win that pretty safely. The Packers don't have the wide receivers to make this a pretty close game. And then week 10, no, not week 10, sorry, week 9, they play the New York Jets. The Jets are the Jets. They're going to beat them. Week 10, the Vikings. I think they beat the Vikings. I do think the Vikings have the offense to make this a pretty close game, but I just think the Bills will be too much for them, so I'm taking the Bills here. And then week 11, they play the Browns. If Deshaun's back, I think this game's closer, but I still think the Bills win. If Deshaun's not here, it looks like the NFL is going for a full year suspension. If Deshaun's not there for the Browns, the Bills win this pretty easily. Week 12, they played the Lions. Pretty easy win for them. Pretty easy win for Bills. Just in case you were wondering who I was picking. Week 13, they play the Patriots. I think they beat the Patriots. Last year the Patriots were able to win that game. It wasn't because Josh Allen didn't play well. It was mainly because of the weather. The weather was on their side, so they were able to run the ball better. And the Patriots have a better run game than the Bills, so they were able to win that one. But I do think the Bills beat them the first matchup. Week 14, they play the Jets. Another easy win. Week 15, they play the Dolphins. I do think they lose as much as the Dolphins. I do think they'll end up splitting with the Dolphins. I just think it might be one of those like trap games where like the Bills they're focused more on like their future opponents, and they look past the Dolphins, and the Dolphins end up winning. Week 16, they play the Bears. Very easy win for the Bills there. Week 17, they play the Bengals. I have them winning that one as well. And so, yeah. And then entering the final week, they play the Patriots. I think they'll have the number 1 seed pretty much locked up and secured at that point. If not, then they'll have number 1 or 2 seed locked up at that point. And I think they will lose that game to the Patriots. I just think it'll be one of those like off games. I don't think the Bills are a good team, but I just don't think they will sweep the Patriots. And so overall, I have the Bills going, let me check. I have the Bills going 14-3 this season. Yeah. Alright, so this will pretty much wrap up the YouTube video for today. If you check out the description down below, I have a link to all my socials if you want to go check those out. But yeah, I'm probably going to be doing one of these for every NFL team. So yeah, if you want to see the rest of my predictions for the NFL teams, subscribe. And yeah, peace out. Thanks for listening.